It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod-smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Yeah, baby. Episode number 160. As we begin Labor Day weekend. Oh, yeah, you know what else today is?
Try to remember the kind of September morn.
In the middle of September, we still play out in the rain.
Wake me up when September ends.
Do you remember?
Come on.
21st night of September. Bring it back now. But dancing in September.
Come on.
All the way down to the summer.
I don't know about you. I'm kind of glad that summer 2017 is over. I don't know. And I know Hollywood is. And I know that Houston, Texas is. Been a long summer, hadn't it? Yeah. I'm ready for fall. I am ready for fall. Welcome to the show, guys. Glad to have you here. Before we jump into things, and I've got a ton of stuff, some unbelievable stuff out of Houston and Hurricane Harvey. Also, a story out of Utah of a nurse that refused to give a police officer a blood sample from an unconscious patient. She was arrested. The story is amazing, and it has some amazing ramifications. I'm going to share that with you in seconds. Do not go anywhere. I want to thank our sponsors. First of all, Dr. Alex Nelson, Fountain of Life Chiropractic, fountainoflifechiro.com. They're in Kansas City, North Congress Avenue, 816-741-4711, 816-741-4711 on Tuesday. I'm going in for an adjustment on my neck, and I cannot wait because my neck has been killing me since the eclipse. I torqued it during the eclipse. Fountainoflifechiro.com. You can go there if you're a veteran or a veteran family member. An adjustment fee, only $30. Decompression for herniated low back disc. Try that. Okay? It's amazing. Fountainoflifechiro.com. 816-741-4711. Grass Monsters KC, also a sponsor of the show. Great lawnmowers, including Dixie Choppers, including Hustlers Dixie Choppers, made in Indiana. Hustlers made in Kansas. And they're wonderful. They are absolutely built like a brick excrement house. They have smooth track steering, patented park brake, a tough frame, simple design, heavy-duty deck. Warranties like you wouldn't believe. GrassMonstersKC.com, 5520 Raytown Road, Raytown, Missouri. GrassMonstersKC.com. Okay, let's get into some things that happened with regard to Houston. An elderly couple in Texas got stuck in their house. This is on Monday morning. Couldn't get any help. So check this out. They called Chick-fil-A and ordered 2 burritos and a boat. Store wasn't open. It wasn't open. Manager was there. Came and rescued them.
I called Chick-fil-A. Now, that sounds kind of funny, but I ordered 2 grilled chicken burritos with extra egg and a boat.
Yeah, so we had lots of flooding in the area, and I was the only one that actually could make it to our location. We needed to check to see if the store had flooding or move some of our chicken around, and the phone was going off all day long. And I just so happened to see the caller ID on one of the phone calls, and it was actually Mr. JC. And I recognized him as one of our regular guests that come in every day. And I decided to answer the phone just to help him, just to let him know we weren't going to be open that day. I figured he was calling for his grilled burrito with extra eggs. And it was such a blessing that, and in that exact moment, I was there to answer the phone and get him help. We ended up where Cindy, the other manager, was able to get her husband and 4 of her neighbors on a boat and a jet ski all the way over to where he lived.
Unbelievable story. God bless Chick-fil-A. Like you needed another reason to love Chick-fil-A. And now you've got it, folks. Unbelievable story. Another story about the hurricane. And this was I was a little disappointed in some people with regard to Donald Trump giving $1 million toward the relief in Texas. Here's Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing that.
I had a chance to speak directly with the president earlier, and I'm happy to tell you that he is would like to join in the efforts that a lot of the people that we've seen across this country do. And he's pledging $1 million of personal money to the fund. And he's actually asked that I check with the folks in this room, since you are very good at research and have been doing a lot of reporting into the groups and organizations that are best and most effective in helping and providing aid. And he'd love some suggestions from the folks here, and I'd be happy to take those if any of you have them. But as I said, he'll pledge proudly $1 million of his own personal money to help the people of both Texas and Louisiana.
Now, the president, whether you like him or not, has taken a beating by a number of people, and he can't do anything right. I think the way he has handled this with the visit, taking the time to get there, helping to organize the effort, I think that a yeoman's effort is being done by a lot of people, and I think our president is doing a good job. The First Lady, she got ripped apart for the kind of shoes she wore. This is a piece from Newsweek that I just find, honestly, just disgusting. The White House press secretary let it be known Donald Trump will proudly donate $1 million. Sanders also said Trump has not decided which organizations to donate to, and that the president had instructed her to ask journalists in the group, what would be available. Now, listen to this. Trump is a billionaire who the U.S. presidential campaign described that amount of money as a small loan, referring to $1 million his father gave him when he started a business. Now, this was at a town hall in October 2015. Republican voters said, with the exception of your family, have you ever been told no? He said, my whole life has been a no, and I fought through it. Hasn't been easy for me. It has not been easy for me. And, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. Now, listen to this. This loan was given to Trump sometime around 1968, the year he graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, and $1 million back in those days would be equivalent to a little more than $7 million today, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Yes, they researched that for this piece. To put it another way, Trump apparently felt receiving what's equal to around $7 million in today's money was a small loan for one person. Now he wants to give $1 million to the Harvey relief effort after a disaster that affected hundreds of thousands of people. Perhaps it's unfair to criticize any level of generosity, but Trump himself has described the amount as he's willing to give as small. This is just douchebaggery at its finest. You do not bite the hand that feeds you. And to criticize any sort of charity as not being enough is tasteless, tactless, gaudy, and awful. Even Geraldo Rivera, who is a left-leaning Democrat, had some problems with it.
I think I was very dismayed that people are looking at his generosity and his compassion so skeptically. Mm-hmm. There has been some questions in the past on whether he in a timely fashion, honored his commitments. He always gets around to it. In this case, I certainly take him and Melania at their word. I'm glad they went to Texas. I'm glad they're going back to Texas. And the fact that he's pledging $1 million, just congratulate him for his compassion rather than view an act of such kindness with slanted view.
Yeah, it's just unseemly, right? It's just unseemly. I tell you. Just a couple more stories here that I thought were kind of interesting. Sheila Jackson Lee, she's a representative from Texas, from the Houston area. She had a little bit of trouble. She was being interviewed by Allison Camerata, CNN. And Camerata was pressuring her on why she skipped the vote to fund relief for Hurricane Sandy. All right. Well, Jackson Lee could not figure out it's Hurricane Sandy. She called it something else.
I voted on legislation to help the Sandy Hook victims on many occasions. And therefore, and Sandy Super Strong voted on many occasions. As
Sandy Super Strong? What was that?
We go forward. I am hoping that we will not have the kind of conflicts and the diminishing of monies that the Texans do need.
Yes.
That's what is important. The Sandy Hook vote took many times, and my vote was for the maximum amount of money.
But just so that everybody's clear, we're talking about Superstorm Sandy.
Now, Allison corrected her, and she went on to say Sandy Hook one more time. and you know what else she said? She said, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey says that he is urging all of the New Jersey House members to help Texas despite whatever happened in 2012 and 2013. Then she went on to say, we thank Governor Crispy. Governor Chris should be extra crispy, I'm thinking. Should be extra crispy. Now, this is an interesting soundbite from MSNBC. Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy, blah, 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 under President Obama, Richard Stengel, was on MSNBC. Now, I saw the headline, Harvey is partially man-made disaster. And I thought it would be another global warming thing, right? It was not. It was something completely different.
The one area that I will take issue with, and at the risk of being a skunk at the picnic, when he said, Houston's going to build bigger and better. Part of the problem with Harvey, like Katrina, is these are man-made disasters in part because the thousands and thousands of buildings that have been built in Houston on floodplains, on 100-year floodplains over the last 10 years, these are problems of public officials and unregulated expansion that has made these areas vulnerable. To me, it's not about building bigger and better. It's about building to a 500 or 1,000-year plan the way Amsterdam is and other cities that are threatened like this.
And by the way, Amsterdam's protected by dikes. We should really line up some dikes along our borders in Houston.
This is a problem of public servants.
You have to look at it, but one of the things, if we look at New Orleans, it's under sea level.
Those are dirt structures.
New Orleans is protected by those dikes.
But, thank God for dikes.
And that's the way it was built.
The Army Corps of Engineers built them to a too low standard.
That's those things have to be looked at and done. I don't dispute that, but we do have some cities, very big cities right now, and you can't just say we're going to shut down Houston.
Thank you. And you know why Houston's there? Commerce. It's there for commerce. It's a port city. It's a port city. If you're near water, eventually something's going to happen to you. If you live near a river, eventually something's going to happen to you, unless you take extraordinary precautions. They built it there for a reason. Houston had to be there. Houston had to be there. New Orleans, I don't even know what to say. One more soundbite. Chris Cuomo and Kellyanne Conway. She's talking about the relief effort. He wants to take it toward global warming or climate change or whatever, and she smacked him down. Listen to this.
One of the themes that's coming out of this, and it's not a discussion just to have now, but certainly in the weeks and months as we move forward.
Well, why are you starting the discussion now then? Listen, it's not a discussion to have now, but let's go ahead and discuss it.
Is whether or not what happened in Harvey and why it's happening and why these storms happen open up a discussion about the role of climate change. Is the president, is the administration open to that conversation?
Chris, we're trying to help the people whose lives are literally underwater, and you want to have a conversation about climate change. I mean, that is...
No, he said it isn't a discussion we should have now, but let's have it now anyway.
I'm not going to engage in that right now because I work for a president and a vice president and a country that is very focused on helping the millions of
it gets better.
Affected Texans and, God forbid, Louisianans if it ends up.
Imagine if we could find ways to reduce the number of these storms. Imagine if we could...
You're having the discussion you said you shouldn't have now.
Figure out why a 100-year storm seems to happen every other year.
No, they haven't been, doofus. There hasn't been a major hurricane in the United States for 12 years.
I have all these scientists saying climate...
And tornadoes, much quieter tornadic seasons across the Midwest, too, by the way.
Change is part of the equation. It's a question about whether or not the administration is open. It seems the answer is no.
We'll assume. No, I didn't say that, Chris, and you don't need to put words in my mouth.
Well, you berated me for asking the question and made it sound as if I weren't caring about the situation.
No,
I think the cause of the storm matters.
I'm exposing the irony of the conversation. Here's the deal. You play amateur climatologist tonight, and I will play professional helper to those in need. And
wow. That was like your mom taking you down. That was not good. Okay. Oh, did I mention just real quick, before we get into the story about the nurse that was put under arrest for not allowing a police officer to take a blood sample from an unconscious patient? If you have an Alexa, did I wake her up? I've got one right behind me. If you have an Alexa, all you have to do is say, Alexa, let's listen to the Rob Carson Show podcast. Listen to this. Ready? Alexa, play the Rob Carson Show podcast.
getting the latest episode of The Rob Carson Show. Here it is from TuneIn.
Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Close, you got an episode.
Alexa, stop.
There you go. How about that? Now, there are a number of places you can find my show. She just automatically went to TuneIn. But I'm available on iTunes, iHeartRadio as well, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Plus, Google Play, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, tell Alexa. Just say, Alexa, play the Rob Carson Show podcast. Hey, isn't that cool? Technology kicks butt. Okay. July 26th, Salt Lake City Police Detective Jeff Payne came to University of Utah Hospital. Alex Wubbles was there. Apparently, there'd been a truck driver who was unconscious after an accident. And the police officer says, I need a blood sample from that unconscious patient. And guess what? You can't legally do that. This is a long news story. I'll be chiming in, but here is the gist.
No, we're done. We're done. You're under arrest. We're done.
Nurse Alex Wubble was working the night shift at the University of Utah Hospital when she was placed under arrest. The handcuffs went on after the Salt Lake City police officer was told he needed a warrant to draw blood from an unconscious patient.
When he started to come at me and attack me, I was already scared.
Now, here's something interesting about this. It was just in court shown that you could, if for instance, you were suspected of a DUI and the police officer wanted to draw blood, you can say no without immediately being assumed guilty. All right? And you would need the police would need a search warrant, I believe, to be able to draw blood. It's different with a breathalyzer. In a lot of states, if you refuse a breathalyzer, it's automatic. You're guilty. Okay? A little more from the story.
The patient was injured while driving this semi-truck when he was struck by a motorist who was trying to flee from highway troopers. The fleeing suspect did not survive.
She interferes in any way of me getting the blood draw. She is to be arrested. So I'm going to arrest her.
The truck driver was taken to the University Hospital, and Wubble was not going to let officers take his blood without a warrant.
Then walk.
Wubble's attorney says this was an unlawful arrest and assault, and the university police stood by and let it happen.
She was rightfully afraid for her actual well-being. They refused to take any steps to protect her.
We're very alarmed.
The arrest has prompted Salt Lake City Police to start more training for officers involved in medical situations.
One thing that's great about body cams is it does show us stuff like this. If officers, if we make mistakes, we expect to answer for them and, to be held accountable for those.
Brad, what is going on?
The University Hospital is standing by Wubble's decision to protect her patient.
Because she was absolutely right. She was absolutely right. That would be like equivalent, essentially, to a police officer rolling up on your house. You're unconscious in an ambulance out front. Now, maybe that's not the best analogy. But, issuing a search warrant without either permission or an actual warrant.
And is working on policy changes for the university's police officers. Wubble hopes these...
Okay, maybe a better analogy would be a vampire coming into your house without being invited.
Videos start a dialogue.
No, that wasn't better.
Between law enforcement and medical providers to make sure what happened never happens again.
Interesting story. Thought-provoking. Usually I don't provoke thought. Sometimes a gag reflex. Okay, let's talk about this story. Victim of banana peel incidents says her heart dropped instantly. Even today, bananas remain an intimidation tactic intended to instill fear in black communities. Now, this apparently is at the University of Mississippi. It was a Greek life retreat that was completely canceled because some guy, young dude, was eating a banana. All right? White student, I should say, Ryan Swanson, was unable to find a garbage can for a banana peel. So he threw it, and it landed at the base or on a limb in the tree. Couldn't find a place. Felt it was an imperative to provide space immediately to students affected by the... Oh, this is different. Student revealed he threw the banana peel, but the incident made some students uneasy. So schools officials decided to close down the event. One of the students, Michaela McNeil, who was one of the first to report the banana peel, wrote to the letter of the Daily Mississippian, said she and her peers understood the potential pitfalls of allowing white journalists to write our story and now feel it necessary to contextualize the fear that inspired it. Quote, as we approached the cabin, she abruptly stopped. Her eyes widened, her jaw dropped. She frantically pointed to the tree, exclaiming, look, it's a tree. In the tree, it's a banana dangling from the limb, McNeil recounts, noting that her heart dropped instantly as she and her companions began to scan the area to see if they were in any immediate harm. Her letter goes on to say that bananas have historically been used by white people as derogatory to dehumanize and denigrate black people. I never have. Really? Okay. Complaining that while some of the white students seemed receptive during a camp-wide meeting to discuss the incidents, others appeared apathetic. You know why? Because it's stupid. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She concludes by defending the decision to cancel the remainder of the retreat after the banana peel was discovered, declaring that whether last weekend's incident was an honest mistake or a malicious threat, the response was valid and authentic, especially given the present state of race relations in the country and at our university. Oh, man. McNeil asserts that this incident is indicative of a broader campus culture, noting that critics have suggested that students either fabricated or exaggerated the psychological effect of the fruit. I know that banana peels have been instruments of fear and terror. In cartoons or in old slapstick comedies, what's the first thing that you slip on? Banana peel. It always happens, right? It could be in the middle of the street, could be at the top of the stairs, whatever. But you're going down. You do not. Banana peels are the slipperiest thing in the world. If you watch slapstick comedy, or if you watch cartoons, Tom and Jerry, banana peel's a deadly weapon, folks. Deadly weapon. I think there might have been a point even where Wile E. Coyote might have eaten a banana and then forgotten about it when he was chasing a roadrunner and ended up falling off a cliff. Nothing left of him, just a little puff of smoke down there at the bottom of the canyon. I can see it. Yeah, terrifying. Mayor Catherine Pugh in Baltimore said it's cost the city less than $20,000 to remove Confederate monuments from public spaces this month. Some parties have expressed interest in acquiring them. We've got several issues to address, including where they ultimately go. We've gotten several inquiries with regards to one of the statues. Got a call from a lady who wants to buy them. That's one hell of a piece of lawn ornament, you folks. Mayor said the cemetery has also asked about acquiring the 4 monuments that crews working for the city removed overnight August 15th and 16th. So the city has set up a website and through which the public can make suggestions about what should go in place of the monuments. Residents are encouraged to submit creative ideas and responses and take into account the past, present, and future events of the monument locations and the presence and narrative of the monument's relationship to the city. There are going to be public meetings about it. You want something innocuous. You want something non-controversial, right? I mean, SpongeBob. I'm thinking SpongeBob would be good. SpongeBob. What else would be good? Barney the dinosaur. I don't know. Maybe Barney the. Although some people really don't like Barney the dinosaur. No, what they're going to do, they've replaced the Robert E. Lee statue and the Stonewall Jackson statue. So I think rather than changing the verbiage, you should make it Jet Li. Maybe Jet Li, something like that, or Janet Jackson. Maybe. Just saying. Also in Maryland, they got rid of the marching band song, Maryland, My Maryland. They were playing that at the University of Maryland, games. Nobody sang the song because it's so bad and it's so long. But apparently it was a Confederate sympathizer who wrote it in 1861. He referred to Abraham Lincoln as Northern scum. They suggested once trying to edit the song, rewrite it, or scrap it all together. You can't rewrite somebody else's song. I don't care how offensive it is. But you get rid of it because it was a terrible song. Can we just modernize a few of these songs? Why do they always have to be da 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 da? Nobody listens to that. We should have like a Bruno Mars song and have him change the lyrics for it and write it about Maryland or something, like Uptown Funk or something. I don't know. Congress approval rating, 8%. Okay, so The Economist finds Donald Trump with a 39% favorable rating, 23% holding a very favorable rating, 16% somewhat favorable. Congress, 8% approval rating, which begs the question, why is it that high? Why is it that high? Really? Here's a funny story. Places you don't want to rob. Okay, gun shop, probably not a good idea. Gun shop, not a good place to rob. Well, an armed robbery suspect found out the hard way that robbing a mixed martial arts studio is not a very good idea. Defiant MMA and Fitness apparently is the target. Here is an instructor talking about the incident.
My instincts kicked in. I used my judo training to go ahead and subdue him, and got the weapon away from him before the cops arrived. One of my guys here who was training called the police, and I just subdued him until the police showed up.
Jacob Powell, by the way, knocked the gun out of the guy's hand and pinned him down until police arrived. Another piece of my childhood died. Richard Anderson, you know who he is? You guys remember the $6 Million Man? I was a little boy when that show came out, and I was into it. $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman. Richard Anderson played Oscar Goldman.
Okay, you've won the first round.
$6 Million Man's boss.
But I'm going to do everything in my power to stop this.
Oscar, I wouldn't do anything foolish if
I may not be able to stop you. I may not be able to keep you from making us as inhuman and as calculating as the people we're fighting against, but I can do one thing. When you're finished building that cage and you're getting ready to put a name on it, get it right, will you? It's not Janie, it's Jamie. Jamie Summers. Say it.
What?
Say it!
Jamie Summers.
Good! Very good. Don't you ever forget it.
Wow, that is some acting there. Richard Anderson was 91 years old. He had a long life. And he became a pop culture icon to some degree. Here's a scene from 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Is that the $6 Million Man's boss?
It's Oscar Goldman.
Why do you have that?
That's worth a lot of money. That's much more valuable than Steve Austin.
Yeah, of course, it's more rare. I remember when I was a kid, collectible items and merchandising just came into, it happened in the 50s, I guess, in the 60s with TV shows and stuff like that. But Evel Knievel, $6 Million Man, they were action figures, man. Evel Knievel had a motorcycle and a zip string, and you could jump ramps with it. Unbelievable. Finally, Vulture.com's come out with some of the best music, TV shows, movies so far of 2017. Best TV shows, Handmaid's Tale, HBO's Insecure, Dear White People, and The Patriot. It's on Amazon, by the way. Best movies, Logan, Dunkirk, Wind River, Baby Driver. I've heard that was really good, by the way. Best songs, Harry Styles, From the Dining Table. Holding On by the War on Drugs. I don't know those songs. I listen to rock music, so whatever. Okay. That's going to do it for the podcast today. Again, if you would like to listen to it on demand, if you have an Amazon Alexa, just say, Alexa, listen to the Rob Carson Show podcast. It'll show up. That is just a wonderful thing. I want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Alex Nelson, fountainoflifecairo.com, also grassmonsterskc.com, 5520 Raytown Road. They are very, very important. Glad to have you here, guys. If at any time you want to check out the Facebook page, it is at Rob Carson Show. Twitter feed is Rob Carson. And if you want to help me keep the lights on, Patreon, Patreon.com, patreon.com. Just look up Rob Carson Show. Episode 160 in the can. See you again real soon. God bless.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.